Saeed loved old things. Ever since he was a child, he had been fascinated by the stories that old objects seemed to whisper. Each item, whether it was a dusty book or a tarnished coin, held a piece of history, a fragment of a life long gone. He often imagined the lives of the people who had once owned these treasures, their joys and sorrows, their triumphs and defeats. He liked the way they smelled. The scent of old paper and aged wood was like a portal to another time. He liked their history. To Saeed, these objects were not just things, they were storytellers, each with a unique tale to tell. Today he was exploring a dusty antique shop. The shop was a labyrinth of narrow aisles and towering shelves, each crammed with relics from the past. The air was thick with the scent of old leather and varnish, and the dim light gave the place a mysterious, almost magical atmosphere. It was crammed with forgotten treasures. Everywhere he looked, there were items that seemed to call out to him, begging to be discovered and appreciated once more. Saeed ran his fingers over a chipped vase. The cool, rough surface felt comforting under his touch. He wondered about the hands that had crafted it, the home it had once adorned. He examined a faded tapestry. The intricate patterns told stories of a bygone era. Then he saw it. It was a mirror. Not just any mirror, but one that seemed to glow with an inner light. It was tucked away in a dark corner, almost as if it were hiding, waiting for someone to find it. The mirror had a carved wooden frame. The craftsmanship was exquisite, with delicate floral patterns and intricate details that spoke of a master artisan's touch. It was adorned with intricate clock designs. The tiny gears and hands seemed almost real, as if they could start ticking at any moment. Saeed felt drawn to it. There was something about the mirror that captivated him, something that made him feel as if he were standing on the brink of a great discovery. He stepped closer, his heart pounding with anticipation. The shopkeeper saw him looking. The old man had a knowing smile on his face, as if he had been expecting this moment. "That's a curious piece," he said, his voice raspy from years of breathing in the dust of forgotten things. "Found it in an old mansion," the shopkeeper continued. "A place that had been abandoned for decades, left to the ravages of time." "They say it has magic," Saeed chuckled. The idea of a magic mirror seemed absurd, a relic of fairy tales and bedtime stories. Magic mirrors were for fairy tales, but there was something about this mirror that made him pause, something that made him want to believe. He decided to buy it anyway. Whether it was magic or not, it was a beautiful piece, and he felt a strange connection to it. He loved its antique charm. As he left the shop, mirror in hand, he couldn't shake the feeling that his life was about to change in ways he couldn't yet understand. Back home, Saeed hung the mirror in his living room. He had found it at an old antique shop, tucked away in a dusty corner. The shopkeeper had told him it was a rare piece, with a history that spanned centuries. Saeed was drawn to its intricate carvings and the way it seemed to hold a mysterious aura. He couldn't resist bringing it home, hoping it would add a touch of elegance to his living space. He stepped back to admire it. The mirror was dusty, its surface clouded with years of neglect. He could barely make out his own reflection through the grime. But there was something about it that captivated him, a sense of history and secrets waiting to be uncovered. He wiped it with a cloth, carefully removing the layers of dust. As he worked, he noticed the carvings on the frame more clearly. They were intricate and seemed to tell a story of their own. Then he froze. His reflection was strange. It was as if the mirror was showing him a different version of himself, one that was slightly off. It was moving out of sync with him. When he raised his hand, the reflection hesitated before following suit. It was like watching a delayed broadcast of himself, and it sent a chill down his spine. He raised his hand slowly. His reflection moved jerkily, as if it were struggling to keep up. The movements were unnatural, almost mechanical. It was like a broken film, skipping frames and creating a disjointed image. It was like a broken film. The more he watched, the more unsettling it became. He felt a growing sense of unease, as if the mirror was trying to communicate something to him. Saeed leaned closer, his heart pounding. He examined his reflection, looking for any clues that might explain the strange behavior. The closer he got, the more distorted his reflection became. It was as if the mirror was warping reality itself. The carvings on the mirror's frame seemed to glow faintly. It was a soft, almost imperceptible light, but it was there. He wondered if it was a trick of the light or something more. He reached out a hand to touch the reflection. His fingers trembled as they approached the glass. He hesitated for a moment, unsure of what he might find on the other side. A jolt ran up his arm. It was like static electricity, but more intense. The shock made him pull his hand back instinctively. It was like static electricity. The sensation lingered, making his skin tingle. He looked at his hand, half expecting to see burn marks, but there was nothing. The room around him blurred, his vision swam, and he felt dizzy. It was as if the mirror was pulling him into another world, one that was just out of reach. The mirror pulsed with a soft emerald light. It was mesmerizing, drawing him in despite his fear. He couldn't look away, even though every instinct told him to run. Saeed stumbled back, his eyes wide with disbelief. What was happening? He had never experienced anything like this before. The mirror was more than just an antique. It was a portal to something unknown. He had to find out what it was, even if it meant facing his deepest fears. The light faded. The dizziness subsided. Saeed looked around. He wasn't in his living room anymore. He stood on a cobblestone street. Buildings looked older. Cars were different. Older models, classics. The air smelled different, cleaner. Saeed's heart raced. Where was he? He touched the mirror again. It was cold. It was inert. He was trapped. Saeed heard music. It was coming from a nearby store. He recognized the tune. It was a song from his childhood. A wave of nausea hit him. This wasn't just a different place. It was a different time. He walked down the street. His fear morphed into curiosity. A sign caught his eye. It read Khan's Electronics. It was his father's shop, but it couldn't be. His father had passed away years ago. He peered through the shop window. He saw a man inside. The man was younger, full of life. He was fixing a radio. It was his father. Saeed felt a lump in his throat. He had to go in. He pushed open the door. A little bell chimed above. His father looked up, his face breaking into a warm smile. "Welcome," he said. That's when Saeed saw him. A boy was playing in the corner. It was him, 20 years younger. The boy looked up. He saw Saeed. His eyes widened in surprise. He dropped his toy. "Who are you?" the boy asked, his brow furrowed. Saeed stammered, unsure how to answer. He looked exactly like him, just younger. "You look like me," the boy insisted, his voice filled with a childlike wonder. Saeed's mind raced. How could he explain time travel to a child? His younger self was staring at him with suspicion. Saeed tried to speak. He cleared his throat. "I'm visiting," he finally managed, hating the lame explanation. The boy wasn't convinced. He looked at Saeed's clothes. They were different. Strange. Section 6. Familiar faces, distant echoes. His father approached. "Saeed, what's wrong?" he asked, looking down at the boy, then back at the older man. Saeed's heart ached. The antique shop was filled with the scent of old wood and memories. Shelves lined with trinkets and relics from a bygone era surrounded them, each item whispering stories of the past. Saeed's father, with his gentle eyes and weathered hands, was a living relic himself, a bridge to a time Saeed longed to reconnect with. He longed to hug his father, to talk to him again. The years had created a chasm between them, filled with unspoken words and missed moments. Saeed's mind raced with memories of his childhood, the times his father had taught him to fix things, the laughter they shared over simple jokes. Now, standing so close yet feeling so distant, the weight of those lost years pressed heavily on his heart. But he couldn't reveal his true identity. The risk was too great. The delicate balance of time and space could be disrupted, and the consequences were unimaginable. Saeed had to keep his emotions in check, to mask the torrent of feelings swirling within him. He had to play the part of a stranger, even though every fiber of his being screamed for recognition. Not yet. He forced a smile. The effort was almost painful, but necessary. He couldn't afford to let his guard down. His father, sensing something amiss, studied him with a concerned gaze. Saeed's heart pounded in his chest, but he maintained his composure, determined to keep his secret safe. "Just admiring your work, sir," he told his father. The words felt foreign on his tongue, but he had to maintain the facade. His father nodded, a small smile playing on his lips. The antique radio, a symbol of their shared past, stood between them, a silent witness to their unspoken bond. He pointed at the radio. "That's a fine piece." His father beamed. The pride in his father's eyes was unmistakable. It was a look that Saeed had seen countless times before, a look that spoke of love, dedication, and a lifetime of hard work. For a moment, the years melted away, and they were just father and son, sharing a simple yet profound connection. "It needs a little fixing, but it'll be singing soon enough." His father's voice was filled with confidence and warmth. Saeed watched as his father gently handled the radio, his skilled hands moving with practiced ease. It was a scene that brought back a flood of memories, of days spent in the workshop, learning and growing under his father's patient guidance. Saeed knew he couldn't stay there long. The pull of his own time was strong, and he had responsibilities waiting for him, but the thought of leaving his father again, of stepping back into the unknown, filled him with a deep sense of dread. He had to find a way to balance his duty with his desire to stay. He had to figure out how to get back to his own time. The clock was ticking, and every second spent in the past was a second lost in the present. Saeed's mind raced with possibilities, each one more complex than the last. He needed a plan, a way to navigate the intricate web of time and space without causing irreparable damage, but something held him there. A force stronger than logic, stronger than reason. It was the pull of family, of love, of a past that had shaped him into the man he was. Saeed felt torn between two worlds, each one demanding his presence, each one holding a piece of his heart. He wanted to spend a few more moments in this familiar past, to soak in the sights, the sounds, the smells that had once been his world, to relive the memories that had defined his childhood, to reconnect with the man who had been his hero. Saeed knew that time was fleeting, but for now he allowed himself to linger, to savor the bittersweet beauty of the past. Section 7. The Weight of the Past. The bell on the shop door chimed again. A woman walked in. She was holding a basket filled with groceries. She was radiant, even with the weariness etched on her face. It was Saeed's mother. She looked at Saeed and smiled. "Don't you have school, young man?" she asked. Then she did a double-take. Her eyes darted between Saeed and the boy. "What's going on?" Saeed felt a lump in his throat. His mother was alive again, younger but still hurt. He missed her terribly. He had to get back to his own time, but the pull of the past was too strong. Section 8. A Race Against Time. The boy, young Saeed, tugged at his father's shirt. "He does look like me, doesn't he?" he whispered. His father chuckled. "Maybe you have a long-lost twin," he joked, ruffling the boy's hair. Saeed knew he had to do something. He had to solve the mystery of the mirror. He had to find a way to get back. But how? The mirror was back in his time. He had to get back to his own time. He had to leave his parents and his younger self behind. But he also knew he couldn't interfere with the past. The weight of his situation was crushing. Section 9. The Cliffhanger. Suddenly the shop's lights flickered. The radio emitted a high-pitched squeal. Outside, the streetlights began to dim and buzz. Saeed felt a chill run down his spine. Something was wrong. Young Saeed clutched his father's leg, his eyes wide with fear. "What's happening?" he whimpered. Saeed felt a growing sense of dread. The air crackled around him. The mirror. He had to get to the mirror. It was the key to everything. But how could he reach it in time? How could he escape the past that was pulling him in deeper? Saeed had stumbled into a mystery. He was trapped in a race against time itself.